Well, not all real estate projects are equal. So it's a much different process from buying a storefront than buying a house or even a residential condo. There are some major differences between commercial and residential real estate deals. One, in residential deals, your contracts, the process, it's a lot more streamlined. It's a lot more regulated on what can be negotiated and what kind of language needs to go into the contracts and what can be negotiated and what can't. On one hand, the process is very similar from residential deal to residential deal, but as one of the parties involved in that transaction, you have a little bit less flexibility than you otherwise would in a commercial deal. In a commercial deal, everything is negotiable and everything can be custom drafted. So you can heavily negotiate the terms of the acquisition, the inspection period, even your loan docs can be negotiated more heavily in a commercial deal than in a residential deal. Another point that you really need to consider that vary from residential to commercial deals is zoning, your lease terms, your build out risk, what you're allowed to do with the property. Obviously, if you're buying either a residential condominium or a house in a neighborhood, that area has already been zoned residential. So the intent behind that area is that people will be living there. Whereas commercial properties vary. You can be doing one type of activity in one area of town that's not allowed to be in another area of town. You also see that with planned communities, they kind of clump different types of activities in a certain area of town. You'll have an industrial section with warehouse space and things of that nature. And then you'll have retail and restaurants and bars and shops and things like that. And then you'll have office towers, offices, strip malls. They're all kind of in the same area of town. Just keep in mind, there are a lot more consumer protections also in residential deals. They're on the lookout for the homeowners, but it does curb your flexibility in those contracts. So if you're a real estate investor or a business owner and you're considering buying a commercial property, and maybe you've bought your own residential property in the past on your own, when it comes to commercial deals, don't go it alone. Make sure that you have an attorney that you trust, that knows what they're doing, helping you along the way with the transaction, because there's just too much at risk. You need to know the difference, and KEW Legal is here to make sure that you invest smart.